Good morning, Veronica, and thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me today for the benefit of our listeners. I'm really, really delighted to be talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So, Veronica, firstly, would you tell our listeners all about yourself and how you became a social media expert, please?
I've been using social media, which wasn't called social media back then, but I've been networking online for coming up 18 years. And it first came about because I have to have a disability, and I have mobility difficulties, and I have an eyesight condition that means that I'm blind at night. And it was the eyesight condition that in 1997 meant that my driving licence was revoked. And I'd taken 7 years to learn to drive, and 6 months after I passed my test, it was taken away from me. And I had to kind of make a decision, really, because coupled with the mobility difficulty, getting out and about, and of course not being able to see at night, so going out in the dark was an issue. Do I let that become me? Do I kind of take the decision that life is against me and it's not meaning me to do what everybody else does, or do I find a way around it? And I think really my whole life message is that there's always a way around everything. So the way that I found to circumnavigate this situation was to move more of my life online. And back then it was internet relay chat. It was the forums were just coming about in a very basic state. And I started to make friends online, and because back then I was in a job, I used to be a bookkeeper. So I was a qualified bookkeeper, and I had various jobs in the finance world. So I would come home from work, and while a lot of my friends were going out clubbing or what have you, I was chatting to people online, and it felt, or they felt, that it was pretty sad back then. People were very wary of online relationships, and it was thought that the general consensus was that anyone that you meet online is weird or dangerous or bad. But I've got friends now who are the guys that I met online back then, and so that's what I did for 15 years. I would go to work in the finance world, and I would come home and have my social life online. I mean, I was married as well, but the friendship side of it were online friends. And it wasn't until I saw an email one day that alerted me to the fact that there are business owners who need to know how to network online. And it suddenly occurred to me that what I'd been doing for fun for the last however many years was actually a business. And that's when I started my business. And ironically, all the people my friends who thought I was sad back then, a lot of them are my clients now, because those years of doing social media, online networking, have given me a huge insight into the right and the wrong way of doing it. And I also have Asperger's syndrome, which means that I see online communication at a deeper level. So I'm not just seeing what's in front of me, but I can see what's behind it by one or two levels. And I can recognise that there are patterns in what people say. People will often say the same thing over and over again, different people, but related to the same situation. And I can spot those patterns, and that's what I teach my clients now, how you can spot those patterns too, so that you can find your ideal clients and make more sales from social media. So it's been a journey born firstly out of necessity, but more predominantly out of fun, and more recently out of having those years of expertise. That now that online networking is the thing, I'm suddenly fashionable, because suddenly what I do is now what everybody else wants to do.
It's incredible that you've been able to turn some really significant health challenges into a business opportunity. It's just absolutely fabulous, and well done to you. Did you actually have to go and do any retraining to embark on this new career after bookkeeping, or was it simply a case of having learnt through the socialising that you did?
Well, when I received the email that alerted me to the fact that social media could be a business, the email was actually selling a social media training course, and it came when you purchased the training. You also got a website. So my main reason for buying, I bought that training, and my main reason was for the website, really. And when I got inside the program, I realised that I knew almost as much as the person training me knew, even at that stage. But it's not just the your area of expertise. It's not just the training in that area that you need to factor in. It's all of the other areas of running a business that I didn't really have a clue about. In fact, when I first started, I knew that I was on social media, but I didn't know how I kind of fitted in. And if you know those wooden games that you have for children where those bits of wood cut out in, say, like a shape of a car, and you have to fit it into a hole that is the shape of a car? For the first 18 months, I felt like one of those puzzles that's not quite fitting properly, because I knew that I was an expert in social media, but I didn't know exactly how that translated into a business. And so it's a constant journey of learning. When you're a business owner, you can never stop learning. Unfortunately, I am passionate about learning. I love learning. And so I'm constantly learning new ways of running my business. So first of all, it was marketing. Then it was learning how to design the business model so that I could increase the income without having to work too many hours. Because with the rheumatoid arthritis, which is my mobility difficulty, there's also fatigue, and I have to be very careful that I'm not trying to be superwoman and working from 5 in the morning until midnight. I physically cannot do that. So I need to work around my health conditions, and if my body's telling me I've done too much, I've got to have the ability to step back a bit. So it's a constant journey of learning not only your topic, but the business world as a whole. It's about learning marketing, it's about learning business growth, because wherever you are in business, there's always another level above you. So how do you get there? How do you break through that transition period from where you are now to the next level where you can make more money? It's a constant learning journey. So while I didn't necessarily need too much training in the social media, because I've been doing it anyway, I have considerably invested in myself for my own personal development and for business development, and it's something that I continue to do to the day, and I can't see myself ever stopping, to be honest.
Life's about ongoing learning, isn't it? I'm a great believer in ongoing training as well. So what was some of
But it's also recognising that it's not just about learning. You can get very caught up in learning, but the implementation is the important thing. So learn and implement.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And it's not just about learning more about your trade or your skill. It's about learning about broader things around, in your case, how to be successful in business.
Absolutely. Look at who's more successful than you and try and you can learn from them, and don't copy them, but learn what, because they obviously know something that you've done.
Yes.
So what is it that they can teach you?
Absolutely. What were some of the challenges and fears you faced as you began life as a small business owner?
Well, the first challenge really was obviously the health challenges. If anybody who's got an autoimmune condition or knows somebody with one will know that it can be extremely difficult to have a normal, in inverted commas, life with a condition as challenging as that. So that was a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. But I think I've managed to find the way that works for me. The way that works for me now is that I don't allow people to book appointments with me before 10 o'clock in the morning, so that if I need to sleep, I can sleep. But from a business point of view, it was really about determining who I help and how I help them. Because, like when I showed up as somebody who knew how to use social media, but it was finding that way that I could fit myself into the puzzle. And so the challenge was it's constant personal evaluation, personal development. Fine. What was that thing that was so, why am I different to all of the other 200 million social media people out there? What makes me different? And so for everybody, you have a difference. There is one thing about every single person that nobody else has. And if you can find that, because we're all unique, when you can find that, it becomes much easier. And that was the challenge that I faced early on, was just trying to find that thing. Trying to, even though I knew that I was good at what I did, why am I better than the others? And it was
well. And did you use your health challenges around that differentiation? Because that's leading me into my next question around how you've branded or differentiated your business in the market.
For a long time, I tried to hide the health challenges, which sounds quite bonkers now when you look back, but I thought that I could show up as a social media expert and nobody would notice the rest of it. But what that did was put a barrier between me and everybody else, because everybody was wondering what's different. So as soon as I came out and I started to weave in, because my health challenges are the reason why I'm here today. My health challenges are the reason why I'm an expert in social media. And as soon as I started to weave that in, people bought into me a lot more, because they recognised the challenges that I'd overcome, and I could still overcome those and still show up in the way that I show up now. But everything has to work around the house. Health has to come first for me. If I need sleep, then that means that meeting doesn't happen. You know, I can't do, just as an example, there's a big Tony Robbins conference training thing going on a couple of months' time that runs until 11 o'clock at night. I can't do that. There's no way that even if, however much I love Tony Robbins, I'm going to push myself that hard, because it would just cost me on the other side. So for me, it was it's health first. Health has to come first, and everything else gets worked around that.
Well done. So how do you typically get your clients, given that you have some restrictions? How are you marketing and supporting those clients?
Social media. Because,
and why not?
That might sound obvious, but, you know, like I said, for me, social media, online, whatever it was called back then, is how I built friendships. So what I've done, or what it's transpired that I've done, because I was aware of it at the time, but in building relationships with people, friendships with people online, when I launched my business, those people became my first clients, my referrers, my fans. And so what I've done since then, because I've still got the same challenges, is I just continue to do that. I have a tribe of people who know me on social media, who are my customers, who are the people who refer me to their customers, to their contacts, and they're the people who go out and rave about me. And the one thing that I've done consistently is not just network with people who are on my level, but always looking a level above me. So I've got to know, or rather they've got to know me, people who are ahead of me. So some of the business gurus that a lot of my peers are looking up to are my friends or my clients, because I've got to know them and they've got to know me. And that's something that's very important for everybody. Don't just focus on the level that you're at now, focus on a level above, because those gurus are now talking about me at their events, and they're now referring me to their guru friends. So I've got this whole tribe of people online who predominantly, some people know me in offline because they've come to my event or we've met somewhere else. Predominantly online friendships, a whole tribe of people. And recently I won the Association of Professional Coaches, Trainers and Consultants Small Business Coach of the Year award. And I was nominated for that award by one of my clients. I was shortlisted by the APCCC committee, but in order to win, I need to get the most votes. I have to have people voting for me. And I won that award by a margin a margin of 170-something votes. And those votes, around 80% of those votes came from people who only knew me online. And those are the same guys that are buying from me, referring to me, recommending me, and so much do they care about me, they were prepared to vote for me and root for me to win. And that is the power of social media relationships. You don't have to, for me it works fine because I don't have to get up early in the morning to go networking. I can do it at home. I can do it in bed, and I do it in bed. I can lay in bed with my phone and network and do business. So for me, with the house challenges, it works perfectly. But for everybody else who doesn't have those house challenges, when you couple your offline networking with online networking, you've got a huge audience of people there. You've got the people that you're meeting online, offline, and you can continue the relationship with them online, so that you can build a relationship at a deeper level. So you don't just meet somebody once and forget about them. You can continue to grow that relationship, and all of the other people online who you would never come across offline naturally, yes, you can meet those guys online. So you've got a huge resource. But if we consider that I can successfully run a business purely online, you guys have the power to race ahead of me when you can double your audience off and on.
Amazing. Well, incredible. And before we continue, congratulations on winning the award. That's just fabulous.
Thank you.
And by such a margin, and that's all credit to the work that you're doing in that social media space, and just a fabulous story. Yeah. So tell me about the business coaches or coaches and mentors that you have who are supporting you to be successful, and what are they adding to your success and to the value of your business?
I have a handful of business mentors and coaches that I learned from. The first one was Nigel Boswell, and Nigel Boswell is the guy who taught me the fundamentals of marketing. So for a year I completely immersed myself in what he was teaching and implemented it. Because like I said earlier, it's all about the implementation. If you're not implementing, you can keep going to all these training programs, but you're never going to grow. And then I go up in stages, and so he was my first one, and at that point I was aspiring to learn from two other guys, Nick James and Joanna Martin. And I used to, because for me it was kind of in affordability levels, because the top guys charge a hell of a lot of money to you to learn from them. So it started off with Nigel, which was a challenge financially at the beginning, but soon gave me the return, and as long as I kept implementing, it was great. And then I used to hanker to work with Joey and Nick James, and I got an opportunity to work with Joanna Martin, and that came about because of a relationship that I built with somebody online who promoted me to his friends, she promoted me to Joanna. And suddenly, this was in 6 months, I'm not just aspiring to learn from Joanna, I'm working with Joanna. And a few months after that, I got an opportunity to learn from Nick James as well. So now I'm still with Nigel Boswell, and I'm part of a mastermind group, which is run by Nick James, and the value that they add for me is making sure that I am on the right path all the time, because I get, and I'm sure we all find this, it's very easy. I'm a creator profile, and I get very wrapped up in designing new products and training programs, and I'm always looking ahead. But where my mentors add value, they keep me focusing on making sure that I consistently have income coming into the business, because otherwise you can very easily lock yourself away with what you think is a brilliant idea and spend a month on it, but it's not making you any money.
Yeah.
So my mentors guide me to make sure that I'm consistently growing. And without them, Nick in particular is the guy that I spend the most time with. Without Nick behind me, I know that I would go off on tangents. Nick is there to make sure that I'm always doing the right thing. That can continually, month to month, grow.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So what have you been your biggest successes or joys in being in small business?
The biggest joy is that because I'm doing a business, I'm running a business that is an extension of me. What I get paid for, I get paid to show up as me. I get paid to talk about stuff that I would talk about anyway. And so every day, there is no distinction for me between work and play. It's all play. And I know that sounds a bit whatever, or a bit trivial, but generally I don't ever feel like I'm working. I thrive on pressure, so I love giving myself deadlines where it's crazy for a couple of days, but then we get to the other side and we've got a corking result. But the joy is that I just have to be me, and it works. And the successes are that I've won the Small Business Coach of the Year awards. I also won I was Nigel Foster's UK Entrepreneur of the Month in 2011. One of Theo Patricia's favourite small businesses. In fact, one of the first social media business to be chosen. And even now, only about 5, I think, in 3 years that he's been running that competition. But the real successes are that despite the challenges that I have, because on paper, they look quite considerable. And there are lots of people who look at me and think that I pity me, maybe. I poor you with all of those challenges. But the success for me is that I feel that my life is exactly how I wanted it. I work doing something that I love, and the success is that I'm continually growing, that I get to work with the fantastic people that I get to work with. And success is financial to me. Finance is a goal for me, so the success is that every year I make more money than I made last year, but it's also recognising the smaller successes. And with my VIP coaching clients, we have a weekly focus session where we focus on the small successes of every week, because it's very easy to get caught up in what's not going right, but look at the little things. If one day you get a new client, that's one more new client than you had yesterday. And if tomorrow you get a couple of opt-ins to your email list, that's 2 more opt-ins than you had yesterday. Those are all successes. Celebrate each and every one of them, and recognise that every single day you have gone one step further than you were the day before.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So if you had 3 key points that you wanted to pass on to someone who was setting up for the very first time in business, a small business, based on your experience, what would those key points be that you would make to that person?
Number 1 would be, make sure your business is something that you love. If you are running a business that is an extension of you or your life purpose, it's fun and it feels easy. Not very often, I won't say that, but in my past life, I said I was a bookkeeper, and I did end my career as a bookkeeper, as a self-employed bookkeeper. For me, that was a job that I was good at, but I was never passionate about it. And so every day felt like a struggle. It felt like I was going to work. I'd created my own job. But when you have a business that is around something that you absolutely love to do anyway, then it feels effortless. Emotionally, it feels effortless, and you'll have a huge amount of fun doing it, as well as making money. It's a great life if you're doing something that you're passionate about. That would be my first tip. Make sure that you love it, what it is that you do, because otherwise eventually you will resent it. Number 2 would be to always make sure that you are networking with people who are more successful than you. There's, I can't remember who said this, but somebody says you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you want to grow your business, look at the people that are around you and make sure that they're helping you to go forward and not holding you back. And that's something that I continually have to evaluate. And sadly, I've had to step away from a few people who have seemed to enjoy when things aren't going right. But when I stepped up and started moving in a higher circle, I became more successful. So look at who you're spending the most time with, and don't let people who haven't had the bravery to start their own business criticise you for starting yours. Because these guys are not your... if I haven't done it for myself, then they know nothing about what you're going to do. So rise above it and believe in yourself. And the third point would be to use social media. And this is one of the most important things. Don't think that social media is a time suck. Don't think that social media doesn't relate to you. Because while it might be still quite new at the moment, I can tell you there will be a time when social media replaces a lot of the other forms of marketing. There will come a time when social media is no different to, you know, how you remember when email first came about? It was all very new then and people were reluctant to adopt it. Nowadays, email is just there. Social media will be just there at one point in your life. And if you don't adopt it now, you're behind everybody else. Your competitors are already using social media. So if you're not actively using social media, you are, without realising it, selling work, selling customers to them. So get networking online, carry on with your offline networking, but don't leave out online networking. Claim your place now and get into the world so that you are there attracting new clients and meeting people who can help you in one way or another.
Brilliant. And finally, where do you see your own business heading over the next, say, 3 to 5 years? Have you got specific goals that you're hoping to achieve in your business?
In 5 years, I'd like to hit at least £500,000. I've actually written myself a cheque for £1 million. Like Truman Show really did that. He wrote himself a cheque that he might. It was some film or other. But by 5 years' time, I'd like to be at least on £500,000. But
is that turnover per annum? Is that what you're talking about? Turnover?
Yeah, okay. Turning over 500.
Yes.
But I expect that I will have exceeded that. I want to be the UK's leading social marketing relationships expert, because it's all about the relationships that you build online. And for me, I met my husband on Facebook, and I married him on Twitter, and it's relationships of any kind you can build on social media. So in 5 years' time, I want to be the leading UK social marketing relationships expert, and I want the unashamedly, I am happy to admit that I like to be fine. I like being a business celebrity. I like the time on stage. I like people recognising me. And so over the next 5 years, I'm going to be doing more to get on bigger stages. At least 1,000 people in the room. I've done 600. I'd like to take that up to the next level now. But to become more recognised by more people with the income that goes with that is my goal.
Brilliant. Amazing. Veronica, you're an absolute inspiration. I'm so delighted to have spoken to you today, and I'm sure when I share this story to others, they're going to similarly find your journey and your story inspiring, and hopefully it will inspire my listeners to achieve more in their own businesses, because that's what I'm here for, to support small business to be hugely successful, particularly through the stories of others. So thank you. Really, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
See you soon.